Hey everybody, it's ShadowStar here, and I'm back for another Top 5 video. This time, it's my Top 5 episodes of Season 1 of Flash. So, Season 1 of Flash is often regarded as one of the best, and it's easy to see why. So picking 5 episodes to make the top 5 wasn't easy. Don't be surprised if your favorite isn't on here, or you're surprised why one episode is higher than another. There were so many good episodes in this season, it's just difficult to find 5. There were so many episodes where I felt bad for not including that episode, but it just couldn't make the cut compared to the episodes I've chosen, and in the end, this is my list, and oftentimes I enjoy certain episodes for different reasons than other people. But let's start with the 5th best episode, and an episode I really enjoy, who is Harrison Wells. So, this episode is good for so many reasons. First off, it's a great Eddie episode. We get to see great dynamic between Eddie and Barry. We get to see, throughout the first half of the season, it was kind of half and half on Eddie, but in this episode, he really proved himself, and it's just nice seeing them team up now that Eddie's part of the team and he knows his secret and all that. We get to see him fight Everyman, and, seeing Barry face off against Everyman at the end was so good. Plus, there's plenty of humorous moments with Everyman taking control, well, not taking control, but taking on the form of different characters. But we also have a good cliffhanger in this episode with Cisco, Caitlin, and Barry finally finding the time vault. But the bulk of the episode and the best part of the episode is Joe and Cisco go to Star City. So we get some great scenes like Joe and Quentin together. That's just such a great dynamic. Laurel and Cisco, such as Laurel getting her canary cry and Cisco being a fanboy of Laurel and all that stuff. And it's just nice to see them working together. It's nice to have it's nice to just go to Star City in a Flash episode. It's so weird, and to just choose 2 random arrow characters, not a full crossover. Plus, as I said in a review, I like that Joe gives Quentin advice on the whole Laurel drama. It's great. This episode is so good, it's trying to fix the problems of another show. Plus, we of course get the whole big mystery of Wells finally getting explained. But man, this was such a big episode. It's not big, crazy, bombastic, but it's got a lot of good moments, and it's just big if you actually analyze it and think about how many good scenes there are. But speaking of big episodes, it's episode 15, Out of Time. First off, even before we get to the big stuff, we get a villain I absolutely love, the actual weather wizard, Mark Martin. First off, can we just talk about the music? His theme music is absolutely great. He's a great villain. I just love when he attacks, seeing the scenes where he attacks a police station or the tidal wave scene is so good. But we also have the very infamous scene when Cisco finally learns about Wells, and Wells reveals himself to Cisco, and we get that whole scene where Cisco gets emotional and Wells kills him and all that stuff. And of course, as the episode ends, we get time travel. It's the first time time travel is truly introduced into this show and the Arrowverse as a whole, showing just what a show Flash will become. It's funny that Flash is the one that's going to always be the time travel show. But yeah, it's a big episode. It's got a lot of information, and yet the episode gets reversed in the end. But speaking of amazing episodes, let's go with another amazing villain. The 3rd best, episode 17, Tricksters. First off, let's just talk about the Trickster. I mean, come on, it's Mark freaking Hamill. Every line of this Trickster is incredible. Every moment he's on the screen, you are looking at him. Every moment it's just so good. Every line is he's just a charismatic villain. Everyone loves a charismatic villain. He's about as close as you'll get to a Joker, but in a more fun, upbeat, crazy way. Like, he's so full of energy when he's confronting the Flash, or talking in front of a speech, or getting angry and faking things. It's just, oh my god, everything he does is amazing. But then, even outside of that, we get flashbacks in this episode, and we get a lot of information. We learn about the true Eobard Thawne Reverse Flash. We learn about the true Harrison Wells. We see the car crash. We learn all the things of how Harrison Wells is the Reverse Flash and how it's not really Harrison Wells. But we also get a good scene at the end with Henry and Barry, because, he kind of already knew, but now we get a scene where Barry and Henry talk about being the Flash, and he gets to be out of prison for a few minutes because he was kidnapped by the Trickster and all that stuff. It's just a great scene. There's so many good moments. But we have to move on to the 2nd best episode of the season, Fast Enough. The finale. Yes, that's right. The finale is not the best episode of the season, although it's still a pretty damn good episode. This episode, as I said, it's different for a finale. Unlike with Arrow, where it's constantly full of action, this one's got a lot of sitting down and talking. But those talking scenes are so good. First off, we have the scene where Barry and Thorne finally get to talk. We talk about why Eobard Thorne hates Barry. We talk about the fact that he wants to go back to his own time. Barry hating him. Why'd you kill my mother? All those good scenes. We finally go. It's just finally good when you get the... I love when you finally have the villain and the hero sit down and just talk about what's going on and everything's out on the table and explained and the whole backstory's there, or at least most of it. But speaking of good conversation, there's so many good ones like discussing whether or not Barry should go back in time, but I have to give a good credit to Stein and Eddie, people you never thought would share a conversation, but Stein gives a great speech to Eddie about coincidences and how things work out, and, you know, it's kind of talking about fate and destiny, but not in that kind of sense. But as somebody who loves to talk about coincidences and if this thing didn't happen, that thing didn't happen, I just love that scene with Stein. He's such a great character, and Eddie gets a good moment too, talking about how if this thing didn't happen, he wouldn't have met Iris and all that stuff. But speaking of, this episode's jam-packed with references to future episodes. Like when Barry goes to the past and he's going through the Speed Force, he sees a whole bunch of things in the future. Like, he sees a whole bunch of things, and almost all of those things will come true to some degree or another. So, you know, you see him and he's running and he sees different things. He sees visions of, like, himself in jail and something happening with Caitlin and all that stuff. But then there's also other future references, like Eobard Thorne name drops Rip Hunter. You know, we get the moment where a silver helmet pops out of the breach. We get a moment where a certain girl is looking up at the big black hole at the end, and they just threw that character in there knowing they're going to use her in season 2. She's just there. I love it. It's something that you'll not notice on your first watch, but if you come back after season 2 or later seasons, you just catch all these references, and it's amazing. And even though I'm not that fond of this scene, I have to give credit to, of course, the emotional scene with Barry and his mother. Even though I'm not a big fan of it, other people love it, so I'll give it some credit. You also have to talk about Eddie's death. A great scene. It's just, like I said, this episode, as well as the first one, is really good for Eddie. He gets a lot of good moments where he just gets to prove he can be a hero in his own way, and he thinks about the world. I love how Stein really gets to cheer him up that moment. And of course, we have the craziest cliffhanger there is, with a black hole swallowing up the Earth, and Barry's gonna stop it, and, you know, every other cliffhanger with these shows has never been that crazy or huge, or even the finales have never been this crazy. But here, we've gone from, like, saving a city to saving the whole planet from a black hole. But if that wasn't the best episode, you're probably wondering what is. It's the second last episode, Rogue Air. I think this one is just a bit better. Like I said, I like action, I like a lot of team-ups, and that's what the finale was missing. I mean, great, the finale was great, but this is jam-packed in another way. We get, first off, we find Eddie, we got a lot of good scenes with them talking about the particle accelerator, but then you really get to see how push up against wall Barry is, because he's low on time. But we get Snart in this episode, everyone loves Snart, and then you get to see Snart and Barry working together, which is also great. Snart betraying Barry, Snart working with other villains. We get to see all the villains here, Mark Martin, Deathbolt, The Mist, all those people get to be here and have some great scenes. They really brought everyone back. And then we get a fight with Harrison Wells, the Reverse Flash, Eobard Thorne. It's just a great fight. It's a great fight with Barry, Oliver, and Firestorm. It's like a crossover fight. It's incredible. We got all that stuff. And, you know, that is the one thing the finale was missing, was a great fight, because he does fight the Reverse Flash in the finale, but it's not that good, whereas this was a really good fight. There was a lot of action with Firestorm hitting him, and, like, Oliver getting in some moments, and then Barry, and there's a lot of good teamwork, and, man, that's what a finale fight should feel like. I suppose it kind of is the finale fight, because, really, they'd already caught, in the finale, they've caught him, that's it, it's done. But, yeah, like I said, it's jam-packed in a very different way, but I just love it a bit more than the finale. Like, there are times in the finale where I'm just sitting there going, okay, there's this scene, there's that scene, they're talking. It's great scenes, but it doesn't get me excited. Whereas this one, oh, I'm on the edge of my seat excited. But that is my top 5 episodes of season 1 of Flash. Like I said, it's very difficult to pick the top 5 because oh boy, there's so many good episodes. Season 1 is absolutely amazing compared to some of the later seasons. Not saying I hate the later seasons, but it's just a different feel. Everyone loves season 1 and 2. So let me know what episodes you liked, which ones you thought should have made the list, or if you're surprised that I decided to highlight an episode that not enough people talk about. I'll be back for more top 5s, reviews, quizzes, and so on with other DC shows, so see you next time, guys.